Hey, what's up guys, Kool-Aid here. Welcome to the Ultimate Submachine Gun Showdown. In this video, I'm going to rank all 7 submachine guns from worst to first. The reason I'm doing this simply because this is one of the most frequently asked questions I get is which submachine gun to buy. So I figured instead of just telling you which one to buy for each faction, I figured I'd rank all 7 of them just to make this a little bit more fun. Now, before we get started, there are a few things I want to mention. All the gameplay you're going to see in this video is Infiltrator gameplay. That's because I really don't use submachine guns on any other class, aside from occasionally on light assault. So my rankings with the submachine guns are going to be a little bit more biased towards Infiltrator gameplay. However, the more I think about it, the more I would keep these rankings almost the same, with the exception of one gun if I were to use them on any other class, and I'll talk about that more once I get to that one gun. And also, just to be clear, these are just my rankings, my opinions. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with a lot of this list. That's perfectly fine. There's no set in stone order of how these guns actually are. I do think there are some that are clearly better than others, but a lot of these could be changed around, and that would be perfectly fine. And also, the worst gun on this list is not a bad gun. I think all the submachine guns in this game are actually good. And if you go back to the time before infiltrators had submachine guns, I would have been extremely happy just to get the worst gun on this list. That pretty much means that I would choose any of these submachine guns over the scout rifles or semi-auto sniper rifles in the game. And you can't really compare them to the bolt action sniper rifles. That's a completely different category. But I just want you guys to know that I do think all the submachine guns are good. So even the worst gun on this list is not a bad gun, and there might still be reasons to buy it. So starting off at number 7 on my list, we have the NS7 PDW. And I think if I were to poll 100 people and have them make this exact same list, I think you would see that the NS7 would be all over. And you'd probably see it at number 1 on some people's list. And you'd probably see it at the bottom of a lot of people's list. And that's just because it uses a completely different damage model than all the other submachine guns. All the other SMGs are going to have their damage start to drop off at 6 meters, where the NS7 PDW is not going to have its damage start to drop off till 15 meters. So with that extended range comes a penalty, and that penalty is within about 20 meters, the NS7 PDW is actually going to have a slower time to kill than all the other submachine guns. And that's exactly why I have it ranked so low. I feel as a submachine gun infiltrator, I'm getting most of my kills within 20 meters, where this gun's weaknesses are going to come out. This gun also only holds 30 rounds per mag, 40 with extended, so you're kind of towards the bottom there as well. It does have the fastest long reload time, but it also has a really slow short reload, so those kind of balance themselves out. Now, this is the one gun that I did mention that I would move up in my rankings if you were to use it on another class besides Infiltrator. And it's very simple, same thing I just talked about. As a non-infiltrator, chances are you're going to have a lot more encounters beyond that 20 meter range, and that's where this gun's really going to start to shine. So if you insist on using submachine guns on other classes, which I wouldn't really recommend because most other classes have a really nice variety of weapons already, but if you do, I actually think this gun would bump up in my submachine gun rankings. So moving on to number 6 on my list, we have the Eridani SX5. Now this gun actually comes in pretty well as far as time to kill in the middle of the pack. It actually has one of the best reload speeds out there, but where this gun really starts to falter is in its magazine capacity. It is actually tied for the lowest with the Cyclone with only 25 rounds per mag. You can bump that up to 35 rounds per mag with extended, however then you lose the ability to use an advanced laser or a foregrip. So to me, if you've been watching my channel for a while, if you know anything about me, you know I love big mags. And the time to kill on this gun, even though it's pretty good, just does not make up for them tiny magazines. So that is why I have this ranked number 6 on my list. At number 5 on my list, we have the SMG-46 Armistice. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one because the Armistice does have the fastest time to kill of the submachine guns. The problem with the Armistice, though, is that its time to kill comes in the form of rate of fire as opposed to damage. And typically, when you look at high rate of fire weapons, they always come with big magazines or fast reload speed. Well, the Armistice has neither of those. It has a small magazine with only 30 rounds. Yes, you can get 40 with extended, however, then you're going to have to give up, your advanced laser or your foregrip. And it does have a very slow reload time as well, especially in its long reload. It actually has one of the slowest. So that is just not a good combination. I do love the time to kill. I typically do love high rate of fire weapons, but I also love big magazines with my high rate of fire weapons, and this gun just does not have that. It just, you got to look, when you're looking at all these guns, you got to balance out time to kill with magazine, reload, all that stuff. And, this has really good in one category, but it has really bad in another category, and that is why I have it ranked number 5. At number 4 on my list, we have the PDW-16 Hailstorm. And yeah, I'm sorry, TR guys, not one of your submachine guns cracks my top 3, but don't feel bad. Again, these are just my rankings. I don't know everything. This is not the end-all, be-all. But anyways, the reason I have the Hailstorm ranked at number 4 is because of that huge magazine. Now, when it comes to magazine size, eventually it just doesn't matter. Magazine size is not everything. You could have 1,000 round in a magazine, but it doesn't matter if your time to kill is 5 seconds. And that is actually why I don't have the Hailstorm ranked higher. It does have the slowest time to kill of any of the submachine guns that is not the NS7 PDW. And the NS7 PDW actually surpasses this gun in time to kill pretty quick, around 10 meters, which is going to be much faster than it surpasses all the other submachine guns. Also, this gun has a surprisingly fast long reload time, coming in only second to the NS7 PDW. Now, it does have a fairly slow short reload time, but I mean, honestly, if you can't get the job done in 60 rounds, or if you can't find time to reload within that 60 rounds, then you probably don't deserve to get the kill at that point. Honestly, I really like this gun. It does have its limitations in time to kill. That's why I have it ranked at number 4. But I'm having a lot of fun with this gun currently, and you're probably going to see a lot more footage from me using this coming up. So coming in at number 3, we have the AF4 Cyclone. And the Cyclone's main strength is its time to kill. It comes in second, only behind the Armistice in terms of time to kill. Now, its main drawback, similar to the Armistice, is its small magazine. It's only going to hold 25 rounds per mag, 35 with extended. Although the Cyclone does have one of the fastest short reloads of any of the SMGs, which does help counter that a little bit. Now, some of you I know are going to ask, why do I have this ranked higher than the Armistice, when the Armistice has 5 more rounds in the mag and also has a slightly faster time to kill? And the reason for that is because the way that the time to kill comes on each gun. The time to kill for the Armistice comes in the form of rate of fire, whereas the time to kill for the Cyclone comes in the form of damage per bullet. And I find when I'm using the Armistice, I end up wasting a lot more rounds because of that high rate of fire. No matter how good you are, after you kill somebody, you're typically going to fire a few extra rounds. With that high rate of fire, it's always going to be more. So I find myself getting double and even sometimes triple kills much easier with the Cyclone per magazine than I can with the Armistice. So that's basically why I have the Cyclone ranked higher, even though it doesn't matter. You're not going to be choosing the Armistice or the Cyclone in any situation. I just knew that somebody would ask that question. So now we're down to the final 2, the Sirius SX12 and the Blitz GD-10, and I'm honestly not going to rank these. I'm just going to call these 1A and 1B because I love both of these guns equally. They are just basically the perfect submachine gun. They're not going to have quite as fast a time to kill as the Armistice or the Cyclone, but they're not very far behind. What you're going to get, an advantage with these two guns is double the magazine capacity. Sure, you can throw extended mags on your Armistice. Sure, you can throw extended mags on your Cyclone, but you're still going to have less rounds, and you're also going to lose the ability to use an advanced laser sight or a foregrip. So that is why I have these ranked as my number 1 and number 2. Now, they do have slightly slower, reload speeds, but that's just going to come with the large magazine. And again, you shouldn't be dependent on the reload speed because of that large magazine. So to wrap this up and end this video, I purposely did not use a ton of stats. I stuck to the major stats basically. And the reason for that is because the submachine guns do share a lot of the same stats, and what they do differ in, such as certain recoil patterns, whatever, it's very minimal. And within a submachine gun's optimal range, if you are hip firing, which you should be doing in most circumstances, a lot of them stats aren't going to factor in at all. So that's why I really didn't want to use them for this video. And honestly, I just wanted to make this more about my personal rankings based on my feel. And I have had extensive use with all these submachine guns, so I do have a really good feel for how they're going to work. Also, I would like to say that it's very obvious to me and I think most people out there that the second generation of submachine guns are typically better than the first generation of submachine guns. Now, there's arguments to be made, but honestly, I think the first gen submachine guns could use a little bit of a buff. I think if you just threw 7 to 10 more rounds per mag on all them guns, I think the choice picking these would be a lot harder, and I think they'd be a lot more reason to buy those first gen now that the second gen are out. So anyways, guys, that's just my rankings. I know a lot of you are going to disagree with this. That's perfectly fine. I'll be happy to debate it in the comment section. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you all later.